Oh, here we go. There we go. So, there you go. All down there. Right. And things are this one's. Oh, you're here. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Are you good? Welcome to Sunday morning at the Chandlers. And I thought I would just sneak in a bit of stuff. Before you got here and before we got started, felt a bit play schoolish, didn't it? Sorry. Just a little bit. I hope to have more of this done by this morning. You know how it goes. We've got other things to do, but I didn't get this done. So, did you see what I'm doing? This is, do you remember we did this last year? This is Field of Flowers. So, the whole plan is to get it done and come back and talk about different applique techniques again. I think Em and I did it last year, and I did this as a freebie design mail out with the rainbow pack, which I'm going to continue to do till they're sold out. So we're going to come back and do this. We're going to do a little bit of machine applique this morning on something else. But I've realised I've kind of done myself an injustice. I did not transfer the stems on really well, so it's been sitting around in my office and moved around a few times, and we must have only lightly transferred on with a chalk pen the stems. So I'm going to be putting it back on properly with some transfer paper so that I can see where everything goes really well. Because I'm going onto a dark background, I can't see through a light box. Anyway, I'll get it done. I'll get it done and we'll come back to it. Anyway, how are you this morning? Are you all good? Who's here? Oh, good morning, Yvonne. Good morning, Yvonne, Sue, Judy, Marie. Marie, Anthony, how are you? Are you good? Sylvia, Trencher, good morning. Tracy, hi. Yvonne, hi. I've got both my Yvonnes in the building. Louise is up. Are you all still sitting in bed having a cuppa? Gwen Cameron, good morning to you. Jane's here. Donna, greetings. Thank you for joining us. Jane's here. Francis is here. Fiona's here. Oh, everyone's here. Anyone that matters is here. Isn't that the way that we're supposed to say it? Del, good morning. Morning. Jenny Peach, hello buddy. Hello Kathy. Nancy, a very good morning to you. And Christine. Joanne, welcome. Pauline Boyke. Have I missed you for the last few shows? If you've not been around for a while, it's good to see that you are here. Good morning, Val. Maggie, welcome. It is a good sun. It's actually quite a dark, overcast morning here in Melbourne, but very much appreciated after the hot house yesterday. Lois, Joy, Tracy, what did you say? No, just home from work. Oh, but do have a cuppa. You're a bit of a Fiona. You do the late shift thing, the night shift thing. Leslie, good morning. Kathy Williams is here with Bobby. Yeah, coffee's definitely here, Fiona, and we have to beg Robert to go and get more milk because my second coffee's not going to happen without it. Nearly 30 years of marriage, and I feel so bad this morning. I still did not share the last of the milk. So bad. But I was operating a sewing machine, so I figure that safety first with caffeine. Very important. Good morning, Daisy. Glenda, welcome. Hot up your end with Sylvia, I bet. Oh, you're at the hospital, Pauline. Well, you know what? We'll take up some of your time in that waiting time. Very, very, very happy to do that for you. Okay. So first of all, brag. Sasha Wade. Look, it's patchworky. Isn't it not just amazing? And no, I didn't. I didn't pay full Sasha Wade price for it. Sasha Wade. What am I saying? Sasha Wade. Sasha Drake. Sasha Drake is an Australian designer. Amazing. Does a lot of patchworky designs. all Australian made with silk. No, no, no. I know what you're thinking. Lisa Chandler, you can't afford. No, I can't. $20 at the Rosebud Op Shop. I spotted it from, I had Mum with me. I spotted it from about 15 metres away, and she was just putting the last of my small purchases through, and I went, wait! And I ran, and I didn't even look at the size. So it doesn't fit me. I don't care. I will make it fit me. The next time I'm going to wear it, I'm hoping I can get it a little bit more around. I'm going to wear it on Natasha Makes in the UK in August. But see, this is why you've got to go to the op shops, because you can just pick up, oh no, it's silk, so it just kind of all falls off my shoulders because I'm not wearing it properly. But can't beat a good op shop buy. Kathy finished her money bag yesterday. Yes, I am so glad to hear that. That's fantastic. I've actually still got the Waratah one sitting here on my counter. Good morning, Liz. Alright, so let me just get this out of the way. We'll pack this up, and we'll have a chat about what, well, this is what we were going to do, some of this, but there was something else that I just thought, I just wanted a fun morning. You know, Sunday mornings should not be too mentally taxing, should they? Oh, okay, we are going to design something on graph paper, but it's really easy. It's super easy, and we'll just fold this in. It's got the weft on the back, so we'll just fold that in, fold it over. It's sort of, I think what I wanted to do this morning sort of came about after I was playing with the Quilters Life members, and we were doing our paper paste octagons for the inner border on our geisha. And so if you haven't had a look at your membership stuff, there's more in there for you this week. But I was thinking about octagons again, and remember we were doing our cut off corners on our cultural fusion, and I thought, you know what, there's a little bit more, hello Ginny, there's a little bit more that we can do with that. And so that's what we're going to do this morning. So nothing too taxing, and probably a couple of things a little bit against the grain, as in we're going to do some really small piecing. But small piecing, everyone thinks you need to get super accurate. I actually find sometimes it can go the other way. So that's what we're going to do. And oh jeez, pussy, really? No, you cannot climb the quilt. On this old one here that I have, which is out a lot lately because I really want to remake it, but not on a white background. I actually want to do it on the dark denim that I just had out. And then I was going to do it. Look, I know what you're going to do, so just do it now and get it over and done with, and then we can all move on. I really wanted to do it originally with all of our Northcote solids, but then I felt it might be a little bit too much. Then I thought we might do it in batiks, and we're switching batiks, as you know, over to the Northcotes a lot at the moment, and I thought, no, that could all go horribly wrong. We're going to do it with Toscana. When we get the full range of Toscana in, which, you know, we're going to start doing because we're clearing the Maywood shadow plays out to our essential 4 or 5 that we're going to keep. We're going to do it with Toscana. And I've had a look at the colour palette again that I showed you last time. Perfect. In the meantime, this is the block that's probably one of my favourite blocks. I don't know, I think we called it the Poppy block, I can't remember. But I do love this, and I thought I'm going to show everyone how they can do that this morning and incorporate in a couple of things that you will probably have in your stash that you can use. So I'm going to run it with one of our Applique Essential packs, but a new one that I've done this morning for you as well. So we're going to start straight in this morning, no mucking around. We're going to start with graph paper, and you are going to, yeah, good on you. Keep walking, that, okay, fine, okay, sure. We're going to start with graph paper. I've got a really, I started to bring in my old one, and it's pretty sad, and it's all kind of, isn't it, Gin? It's kind of really sad. So I thought, no, there's nothing nicer than starting with a brand new graph pad. So I get a new one this morning. Do you want it? Can you just move your tail just it's a little bit. Robbie, she's fine. She's fine. If she gets in trouble, you'll know about it. Rob's come down to remove the feline. You see, you can't. Everyone knows if you've got a cat, you cannot talk them into leaving, because then things just fly everywhere. So, okay, you want me to take her off, don't you? Is it stressing you out? We were all fine with her. There you go. So, graph paper, first of all, you need to work with Imperial. So get yourself an Imperial one. This is the Matilda's own one that we've got, but you really do need Imperial. The other thing, of course, you can do, if you've got a mate, Jill, don't be in mourning for shadow play. You two will learn to love Toscana, and Jill, I know you've got a lot of shadow play, and we are keeping the main colours that go with our stuff. So if ever we find that there's a Toscana that doesn't go, we're keeping Pace 7 in the pink and the greys and things, we'll just put a shadow play back. But there's, yeah, change is as good as a holiday. I love them, but change, I need change. All right, so you've got to have Imperial, and as I was about to say, if you've got mates in the US and they want to send you a present, just get them to go and get some graph paper for you, because it's Imperial, everything's Imperial over there. So this is what we're going to start with. Then I was thinking about our rainbow applique essential packs because I just love all the colours, and it's what I'm using in the applique. We've got, these are all the colours that are in it here. Excuse me, plus another pink up here. We're running, hang on, 3, 6, 8, 9, and one of the pinks up here. They're starting to run. I've got 11 I can do. So there's a little bit of Singapore sitting here on the side. Steve's going to come in the morning and cut the last that we can do. Then we will change to a different colorway. So if you want one of these, please grab it. I think they're 25 today. So we've got those. And I love them, but I thought, well, no, I'm not going to use those this morning. I thought I really need a pretty pink. So I've made up a new pack for us to play with, and we'll go through that in a minute. The most important thing, though, is if you are going to use one of your applique essential packs, or you want an idea of what size pieces you need, these are 4 inches wide. And so for me, I wanted to structure what I'm doing this morning around being, does this say 3? Did you know I'm numerically dyslexic and I'm a patchworker? How hilarious is that? 4 inches wide. So half of the joy of learning to design your own blocks is you can work with whichever width fabric or size fabrics that you've got, or what size zips you've got. You can make it, and that goes for bags as well, into any size that you want. You know, I've sort of been doing that to you a bit lately. So I have to sit down for a minute. It's too early. It's just too early in the day to be standing all the time. Who joined us? Kathy did, along with Annette and Janice and Maureen. Super, good morning. Okay, so if we're going to work with, I think you can see those lines okay. You will in a minute because I'm going to draw on them. If we're going to work with things that are 4 inches wide, I want to be able to make that little poppy flower block within using things that are 4 inches wide. This is the new pack that I have made up for today's show. So with wayward bits of bottom line and wayward bits of polishing. There we go. So I've made up this pretty pack for us. Actually, I didn't make it up today. That is a lie. I made it up yesterday and I put it up online yesterday. I've just hacked into it this morning. So this has every single pink batik that I have in stock. They're all here. So I'll just show you. There you go. So I don't know if your camera will pick, your screen or your phone or whatever will pick them all up, but they're just all subtly different. And there are Northcote batiks in there, so the new shadows that we're stocking. There are AU batiks in there, and if you remember, the AU batiks are the ones that were specially coloured for Michelle Hill's Be Mindful quilt. I was able to get us a couple more of those. And then I've got classic Hoffmans in here, like Shrimp, lipstick. That is clownfish. I think that's the best name for clownfish. So they're all really lovely, and there's Dusky Pink, Victoria, there's quite a few in there. So I just thought that would be really nice to play with this block. And then what I have done, I've made it a bonus pack for you. So if you wanted to grab one, so for 25, these are 27, 25, but you're also going to get a lovely piece of Celadon green. So you're going to get 4 inches of that, and then you get 4 inches of Citron. Now Citron is a super bright yellow, but it's one that and it's a Hoffman, and I did go to look at it online, and it's not online. It's not on our website. And I thought, why is it here? But it was brought in for the Honey Eater in Michelle's quilt, because we couldn't get the original one that she had. So I thought, that needs to go back online. So that'll be going back online today. But in the meantime, I've popped it into this pack, and I've also popped in an American Beauty hot pink zip. So that gives you an idea of where we're going to go this morning. So that's the whole pack, and that's 25. So you get these, that's usually 27, and you get these two with that as well for 25. So I had a look, I think we can do 20 based on one of the pinks, one of the discontinued pinks of Michelle's, because I could only get a small bit. So there'll be 20 of those that you can look at under today's banner. So I'm going to pop those up there. Now, as I said, if we're going to do this, we can play with 4-inch wide fabric. And if we have a look at what 4 inches is, that's the first mistake we can make. Because you've got to remember, we've got to allow for seam allowances if we're going to do this 4 petal thing. So if that's 4 inches wide, then really, if you just wanted to use the whole width, you're going to end up with a square that's 3.5. But I want to break it down further. I actually want to do 4 petals that are small. So let me show you what we're going to do. If you think about it, if I take one of these pieces, now I'm going to trash it, you will see that this is actually one that I have chopped up this morning. Which one will we take out? We take the dark one out. Let's just completely trash that. We take the dark one out. Hi, Jean. You're back. Okay. So if we take this, now when you do get these from us, we do, you know, Steve gets out there with the big electric cutter. Please just double check that this you're not going to ever be under, but you might be a little bit over. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it this way and double check. Yes, it's just a little bit wider, just a smidge. So I shall square him up. Okay, so that's as big as we can get in terms of a square. And I'm going to do it this way for you first, so you can see where I'm going with this whole conversation this early on a Sunday morning. If I was to cut this square into 4, which I'm going to, it is just a different world when you start playing with tight batiks, isn't it? Because the weave on them is just so beautiful and so super tight. That's why they're so good for raw edge applique. Okay, so I've chopped that down, and so now I've got my 4 2-inch squares. But what that means is that once we take in our seam allowance, each one of them is going to be finished 1.5 inches. So when we come to draw up the block and what it's going to look like, we have to remember that the finished size of our little petals is going to be 1.5 inches wide, not 2. So that means that the whole block's finished size is going to be 3, not 4. So you've just got to remember to take in that seam allowance when you start designing. Another fun fact, silk is beautiful, but she don't breathe. It doesn't breathe. It's so hot in here. Excuse me, I'm going to have to strip just down to the plain black singlet this morning. No, pussycat and silk. No, that's not happening. We'll just set it up over there. Oh heavens, I wonder how hot it is in, now I've thought about Natasha's studio. Could be really hot in there. We might rethink that. There will be at least 2 outfits that's going. All right. So now that we know that the finished size of our petals is going to be 3.5, I'm going to come to our graph paper and start drawing up. First draw's wrong. Okay, 3.5, including seam allowance for the whole block, 3 finished. Our individual petals are going to be 2, including seam allowance, and 1.5 finished. So that is going to be the size of one petal. So these are little. And please don't freak out yet about sewing them, because there are a few tricks to it. And as I said, I think sometimes you can get away with a lot more when they're small. A lot of small stuff that you will see in exhibition quilts and things. Aw, thanks, V. A lot of exhibition quilts and things you see. Good morning, Diane. Did you go to the Dutch Festival down the road yesterday? I hear it was really, really hot and windy and very busy. Margaret was down there. Anyway, sorry. A lot of the beautiful, intricate, pieced miniature quilts and things that you see, of course, are all done with foundation piecing, and we are going to do, I've got some things planned. There's things in this quilt that have been foundation pieced. We will get to foundation piecing this year, and you can do it that way, but I think it's really cool if you can piece them, not just by hand, by machine, in really, really small pieces. So, okay, there we go. They are our 4 petals that we're going to get, and now what we want to do though is add in the edges of the petals. So that's why I popped in the green, because I thought, well, it would be really nice to have the little cut off corners in the green, so it kind of looks like it's leaves or it's sitting in a garden. So now we're going to work out what we want to do in terms of these little bits. So in the corners, so there and there, we want little cut off triangles. Okay, so you really want to have a little bit of a play around and see what works. I sort of want, when it's all finished, I don't want it to actually meet in the middle where I've just marked. Okay, I don't want that. What I want it to sit back a bit further, so that you kind of get that effect. And if I get my green, you can just have a look. Every discerning patchworker needs an exceptionally good pack of textures and pencils. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Okay, so that's the effect that I want. So sometimes it's just a little bit of trial and error, but I found that the best size is 1 inch for this. Now you can have a little bit of a play around once you've got these bits cut out, because this is actually 2, remember, it's still got its seam allowance on. So if I pop that on the corner there and do a little trial fold back, like that, you can see that it's going to meet. Got another one somewhere, here we go. If I use 2 1-inch ones, because this square is 2 inches wide, these 2 pieces are actually going to meet at the point. Actually, you know what, I'm just going to chop one in half instead of just trying to sit here and fold it, because my iron's not warmed up at the moment. I'll just do this for you. Can you see that? So they're actually going to meet in the middle. Now that's actually fine, because when we come through and sew, it's going to chop off. When we take that 1/4 inch in there, it's going to come through like that. Who's ringing my phone at this time on a Sunday morning? I have no idea. So if you can see, that's all going to come off, and that means that we are going to get this little effect here where we've got the little straight bits here in the background. Alright, so let's just do the other one. You know what it will be? It will be someone that can't find us on Facebook. That's what it's going to be. Okay. So that's what it's going to look like. And then when we come through and sew, it's going to chop off this bit here and here. So that's going to work. The cool thing about this rule of thumb, that if you want these little cut off corners, is, excuse me, always cut your cut off corner squares half the width of your square. So these are 2, cut these off at 1. If you're doing them at 4, cut them off at 2. And the cool thing about them meeting in the middle, it means we can sort of chain sew all of the squares on around the edges. So that's going to work really well. Now the other thing about it too though is, I actually want it to look like a real flower. So instead of having all of the 4 corners cut off, I grabbed orange because I didn't have a yellow. I actually want a great big flower center in here. So that means I only need to put these 3 outer ones on. So if I just draw these like this, okay, like that. Linda Chuckle's still in bed. Sylvia, I'm 3/4 through the sample for Shepparton Sewing Centre. I'm so late because that cork arrived late. I lost my window of opportunity, but I'm missing one. So I'm nearly there. Okay. I'm sure the girls will hassle me again this week. So that's what it's going to look like. So I think we need to sew one. Now this is where you go, where are we going with this? I know. No, it gets really good. Wait, it does. So this finished is 3 inches, and that's why I'm putting in a 10-inch zip, because if we do 3 of them and we join them all together, we're going to have the perfect little size to do a little zip purse with the little flowers. And that's what I want to do, and it's a present for someone. So that's what we're going to do this morning. Yes, I have done some of the prep for it. You'll be happy to know you don't have to sit here and watch paint dry. So I've got a whole heap of these cut already. It's a super frugal thing to do if you grab this stash or anything that you've got, because honestly, all I've had to do is cut off these ends just 1 2-inch strip across and cross cut it into 2 2-inch squares. That's all I've had to do. And I want 3 right across my little purse, which means I need 12 2-inch squares. You've got 10 different colours here, so you just use 2 of your a little bit more of 2 of your favourites. And for me, that would probably be the bright pink and a little bit of shrimp. Then I've got all my little 1-inch squares cut down. You are going to get 4 out of the width. So even though you're going, holy moly, that's 48 1-inch squares, literally you're going to take 12 inches up of your whole 42-inch strip. So you're going to have plenty left over. And I'm actually going to use a little bit more of this. So, all right, let's just put them here. When you come to do these little squares, if you are not happy that you're a really accurate sewer and you want to double check that these are a square, these 1-inch ones, just fold it in half into a triangle, and you'll soon see if you need to trim any of the sides off. So we need to put 1, 2, 3, okay. I think I'll choose a shrimp. And this hot pink, actually this hot pink may be Barbie. I think it's Barbie. How perfect's that? And this one, I'll choose a dark one here. And I'll choose clownfish. 1, 2, 3. The girls are a bit quiet outside this morning. It is quite dark though, so they haven't fired up yet. Okay. 1. Imelda Kavanagh. Donna, come on down. Buddy, how are you? Oh, I brought something in that is so weird that you were here this morning, or weird or perfect or whatever. Imelda is here. Have I told you about Imelda before? I have, haven't I? She is the pin-tuck Christmas tree queen. Absolute queen. And I found this yesterday in the top of the cupboard. Morning, Imelda. I found this. This is the first one I ever made with the pin tucks. Can I hold that up there for you? It's a bit creased, sorry. But if you've got your pin tuck Christmas tree pattern or your pin tuck patchwork bag or your Melbourne knitting bag, twisted knitting bag, that's something else that you can do with that technique with the twisted pin tuck. So you can see I've got a fish print behind. So for the background, cut it all into strips. I don't know if I've shown it to you before or not. Cut it all into strips, kept them in order, and then put multiple coloured pin tucks in between. There you go. So I did that in a class with, is it Helen? Oh no, the gorgeous lady from Victor Harbour did it as a workshop, and she said I could change it and mess around with it. So, which I did big time and still do. So that is another thing to do with your pin tucks. I just thought I'd have it out there ready. I was actually thinking about those, and then I thought, I haven't got a nice spy fabric that goes with it. You might for the kids, but I don't have one. All right, so there's our 4. Sylvia says she's got to start her Christmas tree soon. Yes, yes. Well, I've sold mine, so I will. Mine has gone to a lovely new home in Tassie, which is, no, not Tassie. Where did it go? I forget now. But it's gone, and there will be a new one for this year. Okay, so we're going to take these over to the machine, which I've got set up. Now, when you're using teeny little bits of fabric, and when you are sewing with batiks, so if you are on a dual feed machine with your 9mm wide feed dogs, or you're on a FAF or a Janome with a 7, definitely if you've got a straight stitch plate, whack it on, because you want minimal area in that little gap where your needle goes in that's going to maybe push the fabric down into the machine. You do not want to eating it for breakfast. Literally, it's breakfast show. You don't want eating it for breakfast. The other thing, needles. Now I started sewing this morning on this machine going, why is this eating my fabric? And there were 2 things. The first one is I think I've blunted my needle quicker than I usually would, because I've been working on Miss January through tearaway, adhesive tearaway, for next year's calendar. So I've been sewing through paper as well as my fabric, and I think that's had an impact. The other thing was, it's all about feet. So while a 1/4 inch foot is great when we're doing 1/4 inch seams, but when you're actually going to sew across the fabric, it might be better to have a really good flat foot. So I've put on what the Benina has, which is a 23 applique foot. So it's a nice big clear flat foot that I can see through. But you might want to run with even something, I'm going to go out there and say even something like a jeans foot or something that's got a small area for your needle to go through, and it keeps everything really flat. That's really important. Sorry, I've switched over machines then. If you're on dual feed, yes, definitely whack on your straight stitch plate for doing this sort of small stuff, and make sure that your needle is nice and sharp. Same though with 5mm wide. If you've got a straight stitch plate that you use for machine embroidery or for machine quilting or whatever, it's a good idea. I don't have mine on, but I have got a new needle in the 23, so hopefully 2 out of 3 things is going to be enough. But just the batiks, super tight. So while I do most of my sewing with a 90, when I get down to batiks, I will go to an 80 at least, and then when I go to silks, I go to a 70. So it's really, it just makes such a difference. You know, you can labour on for ages and go, I should change it, just change it. You don't have to be a martyr to the job or the task at hand. It's it's not a 5 second, it's probably a minute changeover, isn't it? So just depending on your machine, just do the changeover. Okay, I'm not going to mark up these corners because they are so little. I can do them with my eye, and if they're not perfect, I'm really not fussed. I'm really not. I should be, but I'm not. Okay, and in terms of thread tension, you might want to drop it down a little bit, I think, because we are doing a tight weave thing. We're doing little pieces. I've dropped my tension down to 4.25 on my Bernina this morning, so you might want to do that. And stitch length, nothing too small. So the default setting on my machine is 2.5. I actually take it up to about 2.6-ish. You don't want it too small. Okay, so I'm going to sew. I want you to be able to see, so I'm going to try and do it just with one hand. And sew straight across. See, it's only a little distance, so you should be able to see across there. You can mark if you want to, but not. Now here's the cool thing. When you get out to the next point, turn your stitch length right down if you need to, just so that your needle is right on the raw edge of the fabric. And then you can pivot and put the next one on without having to take it out. Okay, I'm going to sew across here. Now, if these two bits here in the back, this is my stylus, if these two bits here in the back, those squares, back at that corner behind my foot, don't match perfectly, I don't care, because I know that I'm going to come through and literally chop off where they meet when I join my petals together. Oh heavens, I went rogue, one-handed. Alright, you can see how wonky I can get away with them now. Put the next one in. There you go, one done. Right, I've got to do 4, so talk amongst yourselves. No, I'm joking. Well, you can talk amongst yourselves, can't you? Okay, so this is where I thought I would explain why I didn't get my homework done for today. I'm very sorry, teacher, I did not get my homework done. I had to head down to Garfield and to Margaret's on Friday. We had some serious planning to do for the soiree. We had to go and look at the hall's been painted. Hall's been painted, very nice, very flash. But also Margaret and I needed to just be in the same room together. Sometimes you just can't do everything on the phone. We needed to be in the same room together and have a really good nut down, because we are going to Birmingham this year and we're going to Natasha Makes, and there's lots of planning, and you would think that we could leave that, but everything for Birmingham and also new stock for shops in the UK are going together on a pallet. And that pallet needs to leave here pretty much late May. In other words, before the soiree. So while it seems like we've got ages, we actually don't. So we sort of needed to, oh my goodness, Margaret's stuff is just amazing. So we've got some collaborative stuff going on, like the Look At Me bag that I've got back in stock and some other stuff. So while there was all these, Ginny, don't bump the camera. That's so all of this other stuff that we, need to do on the day-to-day, every now and then it kind of needs to stop. Get organised. Rob's brought home for me from work an official palette. So that is not square. Can you see that? Here, it's not square. There are particular palettes that you need for export that are treated for bugs and stuff. So we've got our palette, and now we've got to start filling it very soon. Right, one more to go, and then we can chop and have a look. Now when it comes to joining these together, again, it's a little bit ad hoc, but I think you're going to like it. We're going to trim, as per normal with a cut off corner, we're going to trim and push all of the corners back. I'm a bit caught there. Push all the corners back. But then we might rearrange them based on which way the petals go together. I'll show you in a tick. Turn it round. Ginny, there are like 20 pigeons in the chicken coop eating the feed. Do you not think that is your job? Right, so that's done. Do you not think that's your job? Not at all. Okay, iron, board. Yeah, go get a pigeon. Okay, so the first thing with these, we need to flatten them out. Really set those seams. You know how we talked about that last time? So the first thing, and they're all very, you know, wonky and wobbly and that, so we'll just give them a bit of a press. Hello Felicity Bonner, how are you this morning? Now Flick, I needed to talk to you. I can't remember. There's something we needed to talk about. Linda's coming with Sylvia, that's right, to, I know, to Garfield. Linda, we will look after you. It will all be fabulous. I've destroyed those and I don't actually know how I did it, but obviously showed no respect. You know what I actually think I did? I think I used them to cut a zip, one of our continuous zips. Really silly, just not thinking. Linda, we'll look after you. You'll have a fab time. I'm assuming you're on the party table. You're on one of the Chandlers Cottage party tables. This afternoon I am finishing off the last project for the autumn soiree. As I said, I got carried away. I did one of the Christmas in July ones and did everything for Garfield for the tables and everything, and forgot to do the project makeup. So I'm the last one. And Cass is standing by with a newsletter to go out to everyone. So everyone that doesn't do Facebook is waiting to see the projects and everything. So if you still want to come, please book, because I don't want you to miss out once the newsletters go out through us, but also through Karen and Margaret as well. Okay, I've trimmed these all back really scant. 1/4 inch. I don't want a lot of bulk in there because it is so small. Yeah, you're doing 40 degrees today. Oh, we did that yesterday. Well, it was super hot. I don't know what it got to. Friday, I don't know if I told the girls on a Quilter's Life or not. Friday, okay, so I'm in the middle of learning how to renovate all our wooden furniture. Because as you know, one day we're moving to the country, and I thought, oh, that's all right. I'll just take them all to wherever there's an acid bath paint stripper, wherever we end up. Can't find one anywhere that we're looking, so I thought at least if I get everything stripped this year, then when we move, if I haven't renovated everything, it's fine, but at least it's had all its paint stripped off or its varnish stripped off. We've got beautiful pieces of furniture from Rob's family in Tassie, and hue and pine table and stuff. So anyway, I planned it that I would take one table, and my small original table, pine one, the first one I ever bought myself, and get Mark to strip that, and then I take the big kitchen table and swap over. But there's a technical issue in that when we got there, he still hadn't stripped the first one, so we have no kitchen table. And but yesterday, because it was so hot, I moved my white little sewing IKEA tables into the kitchen and sat right in front of the air conditioning, so that was okay. All right, these little guys are got all their little corners ironed out now. Now I can see that I need to do a little bit of a trim, and again, I don't care. They're so little, I'm not worried. I'm just going to do that little trim there. These are wonkier than Yes, I do have some I prepared earlier. Don't worry, you don't have to watch me make all 3. Don't panic, it's okay, you don't. But I thought I don't want you to leave if you think I'm going to spend the next half hour making more. Okay, so there we go. So now what we want to do is get these looking like our little picture here. So the cut off corners on the outside, you can see I've sort of gone for 4 pinks that give me too dark and too light. So they're going to go like that. And now we need to join them together. So you're in the Simpsons. You're in the Simpsons pub, Fiona. Oh, listen, you've just brought back memories of having to stay in the Simpson pub when I worked for Kraft Foods. Wow, that's a flashback. And yeah, the music was loud until there's no time cut off in the country pubs, Fiona. They just keep going. There's no, residential curfew or anything like that. Oh, you poor thing. You poor thing. All right. So with these, as I was saying, when we come to put them together, we really want to try and get those little cut-off corner points together. And even though I've pushed them all out, when I come to pin them, I hope you can see it, I'll explain it, but when I put these together, instead of leaving this seam and that seam facing outwards, I am going to turn one around so that the seams do abut each other. And again, it's a little purse, it's not going to matter. And see how wonky I am down the end? I don't care, it'll all come out in the wash. So I'm going to make sure this is more important to me, because remember, this is going to be the center, and we're going to put a big yellow circle over it, so it doesn't matter what the middle looks like. So I'm going to put one pin through. You'll want really nice fine pins. I wouldn't say a clip at this stage, because I don't want any shift and it's so little. So that's one. It's going to sit there, and I'll do this one. So again, I'll put them together where I want them, and then I'll turn one of the seams around the other side. Okay. Okay, so we'll whip over to the machine. We're nearly there with the first one. But here, have you got all that little bag of little squares of fabric that you could use up like this? I suppose we should have made it a stash buster show. Oh, will I switch over? Shall we switch over? I suppose we should. I'll switch over. If I knew where it was. Hang on. I'm looking for my 1/4 inch. Oh, there it is. So I'm only going to run with that one pin. If you have a machine like this one, who have I got here, like Diane's got, like Louise has got, I can't think who else is here that's got one. Anyway, if you do want to have one, I'm just seeing what Linda wrote again. If you do have one of these that you can set, morning Diana, you can set a starting stitch, you will very quickly know if you've got a sharp needle and the right stitch blade on, because if you don't, when you do that starting stitch, it'll eat it all up. Diana, this morning we are making a pretty peony pink pencil case. Let's just stick with the word P all the way through. And we are being very unprofessional, as you will see with this wonky donkey one that I've got here. Diana, were you serious that you sold all my fabric? Because I've got stock coming to the US, so I just don't know whether, I don't know if you were joking or not. I can't believe it. Okay, I'll just run through here. good morning. Deb Wilkie's here too from South Australia. Good morning, Rhonda. Oh, good morning, girls. Is Jimmy here? Oh, Jim's here. I didn't see if Jimmy came on or not. Because then I need to add girls and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, bragging rights, bragging rights. You ready? Did I get them both right? Let's have a look. Oh, that one's a little bit off at the point. That one's spot on. Nothing. Look at the bottom of that. Isn't that appalling? Okay. Now, with these two, so we want them together like that. So we're going to do the usual, and we're going to abut our seams here in the middle. And remember what I said, we're putting a dirty great big yellow dot over the middle, so don't worry too much about this middle. What's more important, I'm going to stick a pin here just for a tick. What's more important is coming down and doing that little seam abutting again on your triangles. So I'm going to push one back again. This is more important down here where those little green triangles are going to meet. So I'll put one there. It's tiny, isn't it? It really was this morning a case of go around all the cameras and zoom. So you could see my appalling nails from a bit of propagating and gardening yesterday. Sorry about that. I got out super early before it got super hot. Alright, so I'm just giving them a little bit of a massage and make sure that they sit nice together. And it's just a train wreck at the back, but the overall effect on the front will be really good. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to take that one out in the middle now, and I'm just going to let it go wherever it wants to go, quite frankly, because it would get covered up. We will do some foundation work this year. There is actually a fair bit in this quilt. These roses down, can you see these roses down here? They've been Crazy Patch kind of foundation pieced. And this one down here, that one's foundation pieced. So they'll look really different when we do them this year in sort of tonal solid colours. It'll have more of a contemporary look. But that's mine. You can do, you can do what you like with your, you can do what you like. You'll be able to use whatever you like. And these big blocks, I need to fix up the lavender, I'm not happy with it. The big blocks can just be made into cushions. They don't need to be a whole quilt. But we're not starting that until we've finished our sunburnt countries. I'm still in kaleidoscope mode at the moment, as I know a lot of you are. Okay. Oh, the kids are up. There was a big sleepover party across the reserve last night, and the kids were all out having a great. There you go. I've eaten up my seam allowance. Put up. Give it a pull, a little bit of a nudge. Pull it out. See, I don't think. I'm actually wondering, Di, if we need that. Just persuade that out a little bit. Actually, don't think we need that securing stitch at the start. That would not have happened if I had my straight stitch plate on. Oh, of course, the other thing you can do to give yourself a little bit more stability when you're doing this sort of thing with your machine is get some of our, or have you already got some of the tearaway interfacing, like the one I'm using, my calendar one. So if you feel it needs holding nice and straight, get a strip of adhesive tearaway. It's super cheap. It's like a couple of bucks a metre or something, maybe not even that. And put a strip of it underneath, iron it on. And it will just keep everything nice and straight. And then once you've sewn the seam, oh, I wish I'd thought of that before. Once you've sewn the seam, you can just rip it off. Which is the same as, I suppose, doing foundation piecing, paper piecing. Oh. Keep that in mind for next time. Alright, let's see how we went. here is our little flower. Now, he is wonky, but it's all little pieces. And he will be fine. I'll just give him a really good steam. And he'll be fine. He'll be nice and flat. There we go. All good. And where, see how wonky this is up here? Once I sew it into a block, it's fine. And I can come back and trim up these edges. No problemo, because, again, we're going to come through and sew down the sides. So where that juts out there, that can come off. Where this is uneven up this end, that can come off. There we go. Done. Middle doesn't matter. Alright, you ready? I'll give you here's the one I prepared earlier. So at 6:30 this morning, I did a Natasha. At 6:30 this morning, I did 3. So they're all together. And that is wonkier than the one I did before I'd consumed proper coffee. You can see it's a little bit wonky here down the bottom. But what you can see here too is that once you start sewing them together, you start to get these, this is where you come through and you cut off, again, these little petals on the edges. So now we're getting that shape that we wanted, that we drew up on the graph paper. And all of my middles are concealed under little bright yellow dots, which I'm now going to applique around. So the great thing about this is that the finished size of these blocks, when all said and done, is 3 inches. That's going to add up to 9, and the zip that we've got in our little pack is 10. So I got very happy and it all made sense when we got to that. If it hadn't though, I would have just gone in and got some continuous zip and cut it to the length we needed. I might have gone out further to 12 inches or whatever I needed of continuous zip. So this is going to be fine. So I've gone through and stuck these little circles on, and if you and I've done it in the yellow. I got a bit carried away. Look, I stuck all of this steamer seam, scraps of steamer seam, onto this huge bit of yellow, and that's how much I needed. I hardly needed anything. So I've got I've got a couple more in here just to show you. So they are just little circles that have been cut out. I have, and I'm sure I've shown it to you before, I've got this, which I just picked up from the newsagent or from stationery store, Officeworks or whatever. In the, in sort of where all the pencils and the rulers and things are, you can get really, really good templates that have a series of all different size circles on them, and I use this a lot. But if you don't have that, if you've got Polysheen, thin Gutermann reel, one of those, that's going to give you exactly the same size actually as the circles that I've cut. So you might want to use that just as your little template to draw around onto your steamer seam that you've stuck down onto your yellow fabric or whatever you decide to use in the middle. Just missed a bit there doing it in a hurry, but that's all I've done. It's drawn it on, cut around the square, cut the circle out, peeled the paper off and stuck them down into the middle. Just really, really good fun to do. So that's going to be one side of my purse, and I'm going to go back through and actually stitch down around these first with wow, we can have a look, can't we? We can use lots of different things. So I've pulled out different colours. I couldn't make up my mind so what to use over the top. I can use yellow that matches, so I had a look and to see what we've got, and there's one called, I've got Canary in Polysheen, which is 0311, so I've got Canary, and I've also got Bright Yellow Bottom Line in 641. Interesting fact, I've got a bobbin full of it. I don't have a reel of it in my stash, so I don't know if I've actually managed to use it up or I've just misplaced a bright yellow reel, which should be hard to do, so I'm not sure. Then the other way I could go is I could go onto this one, which is a lovely hot pink. Well, not a hot pink, it's a medium pink in Polysheen. And this is, what are you doing to me? oh, sorry, 2220. So that's 2220. Lovely bright pink. It could go to a hot pink or a pale one. And I've run it with 646 in bottom line. You don't necessarily need to. If you're using polyester threads, you could just, if you've got an antique gold, you could use that, or a pale pink in the bottom, but you probably want something that's a bit close. So I'm going to stick, I was debating whether to contrast or do the same. I think so that you can see it, I might go pink, because then you can see what I'm doing. So options for those little circles over the top. The classic, of course, is to go for a blanket stitch. Just looking. Oh, someone's laying me an egg. I can actually see her through the coop. We need to film out there one day, don't we? We've got to do an alfresco at the chicken coop day. Just as well it's not Geraldine, or you'd know about it. So blanket stitch. We could just raw edge it because it's a small piece and they're batiks and it doesn't matter. Or we could also do a little bit of a star thing over the top. Well, I don't think I've got a bobbin of the hot pink, so I'm going to just be devil's advocate this morning. I'm going to put the yellow in the bobbin, stick the pink on the top, because it's all about the technique, really. Do that, and we'll put this up top. I don't have my little disc thing, but we should be good because I'm going to go slow. You know, the little stopper thing that goes on the end. Then for the back of the purse, I've got so much fabric in that pack, I could actually just do another 3 blocks for the back, but I think I'm going to do plain pink on the back or the green on the back. And then I'm definitely going to use the yellow for the lining so that it's really nice and bright. Okay, that's that. I'm going to put my number 23 back on so that I can see where I'm going around that little circle. Yes, apple green would be good too, Dana. You're absolutely right. Good morning. Sally Cox, good morning. Megan's late to the party. Having a sleep in after a big day yesterday, cleaning a house on a 40-degree day. Not ideal, Megan. Really not ideal, but I know it all comes with the territory, doesn't it? With the job. It comes with the job. Okay, so I'm going to pop that through there. Now because I'm using embroidery thread, slippery stuff, I will bring my bobbin thread up from underneath to start. Okay, so we do the 3 options. We'll have a go. I might be able to take that just back a bit to sew up my hand, because my hand's going to be in the way a bit. Okay, so if you had your straight stitch plate on, this is where you need to remember to move it back. So if you have a machine where you can tell at which plate you've got on, it's not going to let you do blanket stitch, and that's really important so you don't break your needle on the edge of your plate when you're switching back to a stitch that's got width. I'm going to go down to 2 long and 2 mil wide for a blanket stitch, and start on the outside. And just remember too that, oh, I'm not going to be able to get away with this. Do you know what's... I had really hoped, look at that, Lisa, do as I say, not as I do. I had really hoped that I could have got away with not putting a stabiliser underneath, but I can't. Look at that. Naughty, naughty girl. You know how you just think sometimes, look, I'm the boss here, so it will work for me. Right, that's all fine. It just did not like it because it didn't have anything stable underneath. So we'll head back over here. All right, thank you, Geraldine. Head back over here, and I thought I brought in with me the palette to put on the back, but I didn't. Let's pop this on first, so I've got a bit more stability. That was very naughty. This one, and this will make a huge difference. So this is going to be what my padding is anyway, and put that there. Just chop myself off a piece of this, cutting it nice and flush so that I don't get it on my iron. Okay. Alright, let's give that a whirl instead, shall we? Debatable. I know we're still at debate over whether I should now have on my walking foot, but I'm going to try. Do you know, I feel like when I do silly things like that, I think it'll work for me. It'll work for me. Even though I tell everyone else to do it the other way, it'll work. It's like my gorgeous late father-in-law, Teddy. You know, he was the third generation nurseryman. Chandlers nursery in Tassie is now fifth generation. And he was defiant and took it very personally when a plant would not grow where it was supposed to, where he wanted it to grow. So if he would plant, what's a good example? A daisy. Let's just go daisy for now, which needs full sun, and he would plant it in the shade. But because he was a Chandler, and because he was a nurseryman, and because he knew what he was, you know, doing, he used to do the Friday night gardening show on the ABC with Peter Cundall in Tassie, like Kevin Hines did up here in Melbourne, and he would take it so personally that it wouldn't grow where he wanted it to grow, because he was the expert. So he felt he could plant a rose in the shade up against the house and it would grow because he was a nurseryman, and it was, yeah, it was very funny. And but you know what? Half the time you got away with it. You actually got away with it. So if you are a Tasmanian, good morning, Janine. It is early in Perth. If you are in Hobart and you happen to be in Sandy Bay and you happen to see the sign to go up Queen Street in Sandy Bay to Chandler's Nursery, yes, Robert is one of those Chandlers. Okay, that made a world of difference, didn't it? There you go. Right, so number one, we have blanket stitched. Number two, we'll just do, excuse me, we'll do a straight stitch right round. And this stitch is never going to be perfect, and it's never meant to look like it is. It's really all about sort of a naive country look. And you can go straight round, and then when you get back to where you started, you can twirl in. Now this is easier to do, of course, with a darning foot, in free motion, but that mightn't be your caper. And because we're working on something so small, it can be achieved just with a normal foot and the feed dogs, because you can twist your work around quite easily. Okay. Alright, so then we've done a twirly whirly. And there, and then the last one, which I think is going to be the fun one, we're going to go across. So I'm going to drop my stitches down so they're not too long. And I'm just going to do this. We're going to across to the other side, turn it round and go back, but not quite back to the same spot. I'll just trim that off. So we'll go across to here. And we'll go back again, and then we'll cut over the first two. And this is still, it's just good fun stuff. If you want to do this by hand, of course so do. You know, grab a, you know me, I'm all about the Suspargo variegateds now. Grab a variegated of any description in pinks and reds and have a bit of fun. Maybe if you've got your monopoly, sew them on with monopoly so that you can't see your stitching on the outside, but add a heap of French or colonial knots in variegated threads or beads in the middle. There we go. You can do as many as you want. I'm going to stop there. Alright, let's have a look. I'll just trim off these threads. Okay, so there you go, blanket stitch with a false start, twirly whirly, and a little star across like that. Alright, so now we've got that done. You could easily do the same on the back, but I'm going to go for a plain back. Now, green, no, it's like an audition. Oh, that is full on that clownfish, isn't it? Go the green. Hey, you know what I've just thought? Now I've put that on. The backing so I could go through it. Time again, what I would do if I was you and you decide to give this a go, have a think. Oh, Geraldine, quiet. Have a think about how much you're willing to sacrifice in your zip seam, because I'm now thinking what may have been better for me, and you can do it if you want to, is to put an extra strip top and bottom so that you sort of don't lose anything under the edge or at the top when you actually put it into the zip. I know you all like the sound of the chooks, but quite frankly, when I'm trying to concentrate, it makes it extremely hard. And I know you love the chooks, but I'm about to do the Robert thing to come and take them around the side. Just sounds like Annie's. Her chook comes inside for the heater and to listen to our conversations. Oh, that's so funny. Glenda's, girl after my own heart. Glenda's been loading cattle, so she'll have to watch the start later. What sort of cattle? Are we dairy? Yeah, they'd be saying cattle. Probably not. Probably beef. Steers, Herefords, Murray Greys. I need more information, please. Good morning, Cheryl. Mariella, welcome. Welcome to Chandlers Cottage, and thank you for joining us this morning. Frisian steers. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. You see what I mean? It'd be really good to have a bit more green down here and a bit at the top so that you don't lose too much into this zip seam, and then it's going to just make it longer. It doesn't matter about the width, you can make it longer if you wanted to. You could make it whopping. You could have 2 rows of flowers on the front. Totally up to you. Now you know how to do it, you'll be fine. I'm going to put green on the back. Just decided I'm going to go green on the back. So even though we all started out knowing what what size these were going to be, I'm just remeasuring, and you know it's bigger. So this is 10. So I just need to double check that, so I make sure that the back is the same. Just trim off, take a little bit off here. Oh, Rob must have heard me. He's gone out. Okay, so that, yeah, see, I'm over a bit. I am over. That's dodgy. Okay, so I've come up at 9 3/4. Again, it's for me to give to someone. They're never going to know. So I just need this to be the same length. Okay, so we need a piece of pellin for this. And this is where all your leftover bits are going to come in really handy. I can't part with, it's really weird, I will part with scraps of fabric that you would all go at, but I can't part with pellin, because I just know there's always going to be a pocket or something. Excuse me, I'll just turn that way. There's always going to be a pocket or something that I can just use it in. A good thing to do is to keep your 640 and your 630 separate, so you're not always sort of having to compare and guess. And it's only mentioned on the selvage what size it is, so if you've got leftover bits, sort of have a bin, a bag or a tub for each. And get rid of that. And then lining, as I said, I'm going to use my yellow. So I think I trimmed down to 9 3/4. But I don't even have to measure. I'm just stick this guy on top. When I do this handbag design course, and I've started the script for it this year, which is an online course, we will cover zips. And when I never used to, because I had a zip phobia, and it sort of wasn't something when I taught handbag design workshops in person that we covered. It was just all about the assembly. But when we do one online, we've got that luxury of time that we can do a little bit more. Murray Greys, yum. Sorry, lovely. I just said yum. They're yummy looking cows that did not come out of my mouth. Like Dorper sheep yum. I love all of this. So Sally's dog, Penny, opens the door to let her friends, the chooks, in. Oh, wow. That I need to see. That's gorgeous. That's gorgeous. Alyssa, good morning. Elizabeth, how can I possibly go to bed now? Signing out and you came up. Hi. Hello. She calls you the cottage dwellers. Don't you love that? Elizabeth, you missed my jacket I'm going to wear on Natasha. Hang on, I'll get it out for you. I'm going to wear this on Natasha. No, do not. No, Jenny's at my feet going, ooh, ribbon tags. This, Elizabeth, I'm going to bring this. Bear my witness. I'm bringing this to her, and Natasha makes Australian designer I found in an op shop, and it folds up into nothing. No. She's at my feet with the paws up going, hello, give me the tags. All right. So now we've got all our bits. We've got our back, front, and our 2 lining pieces, and our zip. That's all we need. I just feel like staying here. Look, can I be honest? I just feel like staying and sewing with you all this morning. I could just keep going for ages, because then I don't have to go and do everything else I have to do today. Does that sound really naughty? Just hang around and sew with the team. Make Elizabeth pull an all-nighter. Fiona and Co will all fall asleep after night shift. Alright, put my other little one there. Maybe, yeah, later. That might be a little purse, don't know. Okay, so You all know how this goes, but let's do it anyway because we've done it a lot before. So we'll put our zip down. Oh, wrong way up, please. Zip down. There. Or just, yeah, it's going to fit. Plenty of room, plenty of room. There we go. Then we need to put a lining piece on the back. So remember just to always put your zip, the right side of your zip down onto the outer bag. Now we'll get into the clips. I like to have the zip pull pretty close up towards the front so that I get that little bit over and done with really early, and then I'm not going to worry about pegging the rest of this because I'm just going to be able to, because I need to move the zip out of the way anyway, so I might just stick one in down here, but it's really not going to be that necessary. I can be able to line it up as I go. Okay, and that's going to go over the top. And then I need to, I'm sorry, I just need to pull out my zip. I need to text Emma again this morning. You know when you get a really, really good present from someone, I always think it's really good not just to thank them when they give it to you, but periodically I always text her and say, have I told you lately? And she'll go, what? That I love you and I love my present. You've seen this, haven't you? If you haven't seen this, this is what Em did me for Christmas. All of my feet. She went through and took photos off the website, Benina website, took a photo of all the feet, put them all in little containers in a tackle box or a craft, I don't know if it's a tackle or a craft box. So I've got, all right, I'll confess, I have 3, all right? But I was a dealer, so I've got one of everything. So I've got these, so I know exactly where all my feet are or should be at any one time. Just love it, love it. And such a lovely thing to do, but now it's so easy to find and locate and store all my feet. All right, we'll go across to the machine and we'll put on our zip foot. I don't know. Oh, yeah, I do know. It's so sad. I do know, Flick. It'll be. Oh, look, I haven't had a chance to talk in fine detail with Natasha, but I'm assuming it'll be the Monday and Tuesday before Birmingham, so it will be the Monday and Tuesday, kind of the first week of August. And as I said, it's just so ridiculous that we are doing all this fine detail now, but it has to be done now. Heavens, I haven't sewn a dress zip forever. I've been using our big ones. And they're a lot easier. In some ways, they're a lot more forgiving because they've got the wider tabs on them. Okay, here we go. I'm probably saying this upside down, aren't I? You know what you're going to say. I'm saying it upside down. But I'm going to sew so that my zip foot is actually sitting on the edge of the fabric. So I'm actually going to see a lot more zip than usual. You can hear a little clunk in there, and I suspect somewhere there's a little bit of thread caught. Diana, take note. There's going to be a bit of thread and I'm ignoring it, and if I was with you now sitting at your machine, I would tell you not to, but I am going to ignore it. Okay. Anyway, Margaret has done all of her beautiful Australian stitcheries. Now you all will have seen some of them at some stage. She had just started them here on Facebook. She had them at the Christmas soiree, and I think she had some at Nagambie last year, but she has done more, and they are all going into a beautiful she's done this layout of them all in a quilt, and I'm very humbled and flattered that she's using Under the Australian Sun mint gum leaves in between them all. So it's going to look absolutely gorgeous. Now obviously that quilt's not going on the palette. Can you see that okay? So that's in there, a nice big bit of zippy zip showing on that side. We'll go back and put the other one on. So that's not going on the palette, but sort of all the stock and everything for the kits and everything goes on the palette. But she will, I would expect that she'll have it to show to you at Garfield and at Nagambie. So you'll be able to see it before it goes, which is really exciting. I'm assuming she'll have kits for here as well. But yeah, we'll be seeing up there. And at Nagambie, I'm just lining up the back panel with the front one so I make sure that they're pretty much in the same spot. I don't know if you remember, if you were at Nagambie last year, or we did a Facebook Live from there, Karen had all of her quilts from her book down the hallway where you walk into the Mechanics Institute Hall. So this year I get the gig for the hallway, and I'll be displaying all the projects that I have completed for next year's calendar and a few other bits. So the hallway is my privilege this year. But that's a bit exciting because it's just a beautiful hall, and it will be hallway, and it will be entrance, and it'll be really lovely to decorate it this year. So lots and lots. And of course it's Christmas in July at Nagambie this year, so there'll be a whole Christmas theme up there. Now I've got that zip way down there, and I don't want it all the way down there. So now I've done the same thing for the back. Okay, so the zip has gone right side down onto the back panel, which is the green. And as I briefly mentioned before, I haven't taken my needle as far over as I can. Nancy Cook, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Nagambie. I haven't taken my needle all the way over because I'm quite happy to have a fair bit of that zip showing. Do you see that? Do you see how they don't match up? Oh, but does it match up down this end? No, they don't. Can't be that far off. I'm just going to shush up my yellow. I lined up the outer one, but not so good. There we go, that's better. It didn't take much. Okay, I'll pop down this side. Because and the other thing too is we leave for Birmingham, or for England I should say, a week and a half after Nagambie. So literally you will get to see things at Nagambie, and when I pack the suitcase of my samples at Nagambie, it will not be unpacked again. It will be packed for England. So you'll get to see stuff there that that'll be it. It will be gone and out of here. Just push the zip pull up out of the way now so I can come all the way down here. And as I said, do as I say, not as I do. It probably would have been better to go back and now clip to get a really even amount of zip showing, but I really want to get this done. You know I go back and redo things, don't you, after a show? If you have dual feed, you will have no doubt a dual feed foot for your zip to use for this, and it will pull through really nice and smoothly. If you find that your zip foot doesn't pull your fabric through as evenly as you would like, then I would always recommend going over and using your walking foot, and then all you need to do is just, you might need to ease off your tension a bit, but you're going to be able to move your needle across a fairway anyway with your walking foot on. Right. Now, the most important thing at this stage is to make sure that your zippers are fairway open, because it's actually needs to be open to pull the bag or the purse all the way through when we've finished. Now what we do is we put both the outer pieces together, if you haven't done this before, the outer pieces together and the lining pieces together, and we sew right round, and we leave an opening in the lining like you usually do for a bag. Oh, just had that crossway thought. I'll just line these up. So you know how we're talking about pockets, and no, well, my brain was thinking pockets, yours mightn't have been, mine was thinking pockets, and oh yes, pockets with leftover pollen and things. Wouldn't these flowers look absolutely cool on the pockets on a pocket sewing caddy? So you could make the top square in each of the panels that we did last week. You could actually make one of these blocks. Oh, that would just be very, very cute if you've got a lovely little bright floral stashed. It's all about the stash this year, folks. It really is. There is, you know, I was having a look at what I've got coming in. Besides the obvious, the return of the big Under the Australian Sun florals, and we're reprinting some of our flowering gums at the moment that we've run out of. So, oh, you've still got some, but we're out wholesale. We're down to the last couple of bolts. Besides that, when I look at what I've got ordered from Japan from other suppliers, there isn't much in what I like this year, and I sort of think, well, do I go and buy other stuff that's not really, I'm half pegging, half pinning, that's not really me, or do I really then force us to look at design and using our stashes up, your stashes, my stashes up? And I think that's really what I want to do. I really want to work on techniques, using what we have. Yeah, it might mean adding some pollen or some bag handles or a zip or something, but ultimately finding projects. Look, even like this guy, you're going to be able to treat that as a scrap quilt if you really want to. So it's all about honing our techniques and working with what we've got. And look, after, I mean, a lot of you have got Chandler's Cottage calendar projects to make each month as well, but it's all about really enjoying what we've got in our stash after a lot of impulse buying, you and me both, during COVID. Okay, so I've pinned or pegged right round. Now I think that's a bit dodgy, that's that one. I'm going to pull that down a bit, see how we go. So we're going to go right round. There'll be an opening here, we're going to go right round, and then we'll be able to turn it through both the lining and the opening because we've opened the zip up. So we'll do that, and then folks, we are there. So yes, that is, yeah, Elizabeth, it is mine. So you know how I haven't, oh, I need to change feet back, folks. You know how I've got an applique sampler? Well, this was my piecing sampler, but we're going to do it a bit differently to the applique sampler. Put my 1/4 inch foot back on. Tell my machine it's okay. You can get rid of the dirty, red, nasty letters. I know. Okay, here we go. Embroidery thread. That's probably not a good idea. Just do a quick swap over. Yeah, Elizabeth, not happy with the lavender block. So I'm not happy with a lot of it actually. So there'll be some changes. There'll be some changes. But you know, it'd be sad if there wasn't changes after how long ago it was made. You'd hope I'd learnt something in that time. I'm just going to pop cotton back in because we really don't want to sew it with our embroidery thread. So I'll just pop this back in. but a lot more so than my applique sampler. It's a quilt that you can just use bits of. You don't have to do the whole thing, so you can just do cushions or a bed runner or something like that. But all in good time. There's we've got to finish off Sunburnt Country. I'm very committed to that. But also there's a 100 block quilt that Steve and I are working on at the moment. Oh, well, sorry, Steve's not sewing it, but Steve's doing all of the digitising of all the designs and things for it. So that's pretty big on our list at the moment. It's Aisha, funny thing. Okay, so now that I'm back to normal sewing, I just need to check that I'm happy with all of the stitches that I've got on my machine. I've got this, you know, the tension and the stitch length and everything after doing the zip. And I'm just running it now around with my 1/4 inch foot. We're going to come across some hurdles on the way because we've got a zip, we've got Helen, but we'll deal with all that when we get to it. Again, if you've got a walking foot handy, you might want to pop that on. I'm just going to hold my zip here. Now, these dress zips are all plastic, so you're not going to hit metal, but you might just want to go a little slow over the top of it. And then when you get down onto the 2 lots of Helen, if your machine is not happy, don't push it, just get off and change over to your walking foot. Now I'm not even looking. I'm not looking to see how well I'm cutting off the bases of those petals. I'm just going to wing it because it's getting up to morning tea time, and I know that you will be really, really careful, or not, depending on what mood you're in, and you understand the risks in zooming through without checking. Over on the other end, I folded my zip bits both in this direction, so I'm making sure I do the same at this end. Hear that rattle? That's a thirsty banana. Now I do oil my machines very, very regularly, but they are thirsty machines. And I didn't oil this morning after a lot of sewing yesterday, so that is why we are rattly. And I read all of the banana Facebook pages and everyone talks about them being thirsty machines, and they are. It's just the way that they've been designed and the way that all of the mechanisms come together. They need a lot of oil. And it's high velocity oil. So if you first oil and you don't think it's made a difference, just do a little bit of fast sewing, speed sewing on a sample piece to warm the lubricant up, and you'll find it will then run smooth. That's what I learnt anyway last week. I never knew that. I never knew. Before you look at this, I'm tidying up the seam. Just tidy. And I'm checking that I caught all my seams, which, you know what, I'm just going to run over this one again because of those wonky petals. I think I've nearly missed one down here. So sewing from the other side. Just want to reinforce it. Okay. So now I can chop off these. Yeah, see, that's how I reckon I wrecked those scissors. Where are my paper scissors? I trimmed a zip. Chop that bit. So they are plastic teeth, but they've got those little, you know, little metal bits down the end. Or just on each end. I'll just chop off those bits. I don't think I'm going to trim the corners on my outer bag though. I hate this bit. because if I was on my own, it would be fine, and it would just be me and Ginny who's asleep on the floor to see if it's any good or not, but it's all of you. My stomach's in a knot. I don't know why. It's just a purse. It's just a purse. Okay. But I'm very conscious I got most of you up on a Sunday morning at 8 o'clock to watch, so I'll be really upset if it's not okay. All right, I think we're good. I think we're very good. Okay. All right, so now I can just give, or you can just give that little opening in the bottom, give it a press, top stitch or slip stitch it shut when you're ready for the inside. I never do that until I've opened the whole thing out and checked it's all okay, because there is nothing worse, isn't it? And it's Murphy's Law that you sew up that opening before you check. I'm pushing this. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing with that silly face. I'm pushing out that little teeny weeny green corner. I just want to. Oh. Okay. So this is the most simplest way to do a zip. It's not the same as the trio of purse pattern that we have on the website, or if you've got it in A Quilter's Life, it is not. So just keep that in mind. Now this will need a good press and possibly a top stitch around the top. I'll just give it a... I have got to get us more of our mini irons in, everyone, because mine got dropped from a great height, and then I didn't get another one in for myself, and I really want one. So and I've had a few people ask for them, so I need to get some more. So if you like the finish that we get with that little tab on the corner with the trio purse pattern, then by all means do that. So you pop your little tabs on each end. Okay. Yeah, this, if you, I'll go through it in a minute. I'll just do this and then fold it up, and then we can all go, ah, and then we can talk about what's wrong with it. Okay, here we go. Ah. It's almost Instagram worthy. We'll see if I can fudge the photo later. Okay, let's talk about everything that's wrong with it. Firstly, so you can now see what I mean, that it may have been really good to have that extra row of fabric, the strip top and bottom across here. It does look really nice against the pink zip, but if you really wanted to give it a little bit more of a professional look, then have another thin strip of green or pink top and bottom through there. Now that I've put the green on the back, I'm actually really happy I've gone plain on the back, because if you just did this without the fabric top and bottom and did the same on the back, then you know we'd all be whinging about how we haven't managed to match up all of the petals together at the bottom. The other thing, this will sit better if it's top stitch. You know, we've always done that with the trio. We do the top stitch along here before we do the final construction and put it all together. But I don't want a top stitch sitting through my petals. So again, that's why it would be really good to have another little thin strip of fabric, top and bottom. I think you sort of need one on the bottom as well if you do the top. So in that case, maybe one of the darker pinks would look really good. One that matches your zip, so this one's really good. That's a really good match color-wise. So a thin strip of this top and bottom, just to, and I mean, when I say thin, I mean thin, like really thin. Maybe only 1/2 inch wide, top and bottom would be really good. And then you can top stitch just through that strip across the top there, so that it all sits down nice. Alternatively now, with this one, I can just come back tonight with a thread, probably I can go yellow, or I could be brave and go hot pink and just do a little running stitch, a tacking stitch inside here, but I'll only pick up the batting or the pallin inside. And if I want to make sure that that is super even, I've got the cheap tape. Remember we did the tiger tape last year? That's the 1/4 inch wide masking tape with all the little 1/4 inch marks on it. Tiger tape. So if I can stick my tiger tape along the edge of the zip, and I can use that as a guide to get my stitches really nice and even on the lining. But I think that as a little present for someone, and I've got a little person definitely that I've got in mind for this one, yeah, makes a really nice little present. Yes, I might remake it, Miss Ava, I might, and keep this one for myself, but you know, I have literally used no more than a 4-inch square off the end of all of my strips, so I haven't used much fabric at all. I could make another 10 purses out of this if I wanted to, and I can put green on the back, or next time I might put the yellow or the green or one of the pinks on the back so that it all looks really pretty. If you do stuff like this to put in the cupboard for people, or you want to personalize it for granddaughters, for nieces, or just lovely people, if you do the plain back, you've also got the opportunity to stitch their name on the back if you want to. Pop their name on the back, or do something else on there. You can have a lot of fun with it. Anyway, so there you go. That, I hope, gives you something to have a play with your stash this weekend, or today on Sunday, or if you are in the UK, you can sleep on that tonight and make one up tomorrow, and yeah, have some fun with it. So we'll get to this at some stage, I do promise, but we've got a couple of others to do first. These are all the pinks that are in that pink pack that you've got the extra 10 centimeters, so you've got an extra 20 centimeters in there, as well as a discounted price and a zip for $25. And we've got, I think we can only do 20 of these. I've got to go and set these all up for cutting for Steve now, and he'll be cutting them tomorrow morning and doing orders. We've got 11 of these left if you would like one, and then we'll be doing new ones. And someone forgot to change all of the pricing back after our little frenzy on Thursday night, so there are still quite a few things there that are on special. There are the last of the shadow plays that we're clearing and the last of the King Tuts, and you might want to get in there and have a little bit of a look. But we, as I mentioned on Thursday night, Steve and I had a great time at Wonderful on Thursday, so we're a bit excited about starting to get those all organised as well, and we're keeping those key colours of King Tut in stock also. Alright, that's it. Have a fantastic Sunday, wherever in the day you're starting your day. If you're still in bed, do you want that look? That look, it's the same look that my mother gave me when I went and took that jacket off the shelf. It's time to make the most of your day. So up you get going, get cracking, get yourself ready for the week. I've got lots of sewing to do today. As I mentioned, I've got working on more Madame Geisha today, soiree project, and there are no vegetables in the fridge, so I'm going to Woolies. So enjoy your Sunday, and I think I see you next. We go for Thursday night again. That seems to be a good time. We'll see you Thursday night. It is the final Oriental Baltimore night on Thursday night, amongst a few other things. So it's construction night, so we'll be talking about the different ways that you can put your big blocks together. Now, even if you haven't done the Baltimore, you might like to pop in and have a look, because we will talk about some ways to do foundation piecing with the sashing and putting it together, as well as traditional piecing. So that might be something you'll be interested in too. All right. Thank you very much for getting up and joining me this morning, and I'll see you Thursday night. Bye.